whatever. I mean, I'm kind of hoping the ice cream man comes by.
What's up, guys? I'm Tyler. I'm here with Cameron Lopez, and we're going to talk about his 1981 Shovelhead today.
Let's do it.
So, 81, and you said it's matching frame motor.
Right, yeah.
What was it like when you bought it?
The bike was somewhat bobber. It had like a different fender, cut short, and like a Frisco style tank. And it was like a Y glide with like a 6 over. It was pretty like generic Shovelhead, all stock. And from there, I stripped it down, cut the frame, and hardtailed it, and just did the rest. So
it was swing arm when you bought it.
Swing arm, yeah. So swing arm when I bought it. And the bike had a chrome swing arm too. You know, like my buddy's bike had a black one. So I was like, I don't know what, they didn't tell me what, like if it was an FLH or. So anyways, but yeah, the bike. So it's an 81 Shovelhead engine, matching frame, and then the tranny is a RevTech tranny, but it's like brand new. I got it from a guy who bought it like 23 years ago, and it just sat on a shelf in his garage. He never did anything with it, and that transmission was with my grandpa's engine and frame. That was a basket case that I bought back that I'm building right now. So
it's the same tranny?
Yeah, it's the same tranny.
So you threw this tranny in the bike, and then you're going to build the motor, and then you're going to ride your grandpa's bike again.
Right, yeah, and I think that's going to be like a swing arm, I think. I don't think I'm going to hardtail that one. He didn't have it hardtailed, so I think I'll just swing arm that bike.
And then, so what tranny came with this? Was it just like a cow pie or something?
Yeah, I just had like a cow pie. And yeah, I was kind of tired, honestly. It was like hard to get in first, and neutral, of course, like always, is hard to get in neutral. So I just 86'd it and threw it in the back burner. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you were building it, what was like the most challenging aspect of it?
Building the bike there was a lot of things that were like a struggle, because I had to make all my own stuff. I remember looking at like a lot of videos. I take like a lot of photos of like the jockey shift setups, because this bike doesn't have you can't run a ratchet top style like arm. So I had to cut one and like bend a piece of tube and add like a little arm on it. But the most difficult thing I would probably say was actually mounting the oil bag, because this is a panhead oil bag, and I had to raise it like a couple inches to clear like this whole setup I made. But that was probably harder than actually hardtailing it, because of how tight it was, all that stuff in there.
Yeah, you could see like there's barely any gap between your frame and your oil bag.
Super high up, yeah. So.
And when you built it, so did you ride it around with like the 6 over Y glide for a little bit, or?
Yeah. So the bike was running and riding, and I rode it for a while actually, because hardtailing it and all that was kind of expensive at the time for me. I had sold, I think, like a car and some other parts for the car to like be able to afford like a shovel. And then actually my buddy Lucas and I went to Sonoma to get it. It was like a Wednesday, and I like told my boss, I'm like, I gotta go get this bike. Like, it's like a dream just to have like a shovel to start. And so we drove like 7 hours one way and bought this bike, kind of like almost sight unseen, really. And and then from there took it home and started stripping it down a little bit, and then I rode it for a while with the swing arm and eventually hardtailed it. So.
Okay, and when you hardtailed it, did you have this vision in mind, or did you kind of, as you went, found parts, or did you know exactly what you wanted?
Yeah, so when I first was thinking about hardtailing it, we had just kind of found the Long Beach swap. We didn't really know a lot about where to get the parts or how to get into it. And then I remember we went to One Cycle Swap, and from there, I collected a couple parts. I collected a fender, a seat, and some raw steel. And I went home and started bending things and cutting things up, and I was like, oh, okay, it's not that hard, So then this hardtail is from a dude over on the East Coast. I don't remember what brand it was, but it was fairly cheap, and it came with the slugs and everything and a little instruction. And once I cut the bike in half, it was no going back.
Yeah.
It was I'm in it to win it now.
So
it was game on. So yeah, the vision really wasn't anything in mind. It was just kind of hardtail it, and I'll figure the rest out.
Yeah.
It had a different front end on it, different bars. The first sissy bar was different too, but then I realized that You have to make these kind of thick because they always break.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, my other one broke like 3 times. I was
Really?
yeah, I finally threw in the towel. I was like, all right, 5/8.
Where would it break at?
It would break like right here. Like it would always break like right at the like bend. And then I think the one time it broke was down at the tab. I think that was my fault.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I welded it. Like,
But your fender never cracked.
oh yeah, this one actually, yeah, it did. I think this fender's starting to crack right now too. It had a matching fender for the whole like paint scheme. But then it cracked, and I got a chrome one. It was cheap. You know, I was sick of painting things at that point. I was just like, forget this, you know. So.
And at what point did you decide to go white?
You know, originally the bike was actually going to be purple. And then I was like, oh, I saw Kioski's bike, and I was like, man, his pan is so sick. You know, the red and the white, and I kind of got candy cane lane. So I kind of got inspired, and I didn't want to copy him, but I really wanted to do something similar. So that's kind of where the paint scheme comes from. It was all white, and then I remember this one night I just like went crazy. Like this is a settling torch, and we were just going absolutely berserk.
Yeah, did you just like hand paint?
Yeah.
Like, you can like see like the brush strokes on it.
Yeah. It was totally freehand, and it was like I think it was like a weekday like usual, and me and my buddy Lucas were just at the house, and I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna go crazy with it. And I just touched the brush down on like the tank, and from there it's history, you know. So went wild.
And did you paint the cylinders white, or were they already white?
Yeah, I did actually. The bike. So I rode it. The bike's been all over the place. Like this bike has been ridden pretty far. Like from Santa Maria and Central Coast, where I'm from, we rode all the way to Big Sur and back in a day, which was like 400 miles.
Yeah. And
all those long rides, like the gaskets and everything. Who knows how old they were before I got really into like the engine part of it, and so I just went ahead and resealed the whole thing. And when I did, I painted the cylinders white, and then I even painted the head silver. You know, just cleaned it up a little bit, but it just really needed a reseal. Nothing too major.
Personally, I'm a really big fan of when people match their motor with like their frame. Like I had a red bike, and I like had my cylinders painted red, and I thought it was like the coolest thing. And
Yeah.
There's not very many colors you're allowed to do, though. Like, you can do white, you can do red, you could maybe do yellow.
Yeah.
But, like, anything else is kind of kooky.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
But, like, and the red only passes because it's, like, a hot rod thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I've seen, like, some people do, like, pink, and, like, I'm just like,
Ooh, I don't know about pink cylinders.
Yeah, it's kind of, like, far-fetched. You know, your bike definitely has to match or be, like, a knuckle. I feel like knuckleheads are always, like, the craziest of the crazy just because they are a knuckle. But like cone shovel is kind of like, you know, there's kind of like a borderline with it, I feel. But yeah, I don't see a lot of too like wild paint jobs on cone shovels. It's usually like pans and knuckleheads.
Yeah, and when did you get into the bikes?
So my first bike I got into when I was like 21, and it was an Evo chopper hardtail. This like old biker chick had it. And I bought it for like $1,000. I was so frothed. I had to keep it at my buddy's house, and because my mom was like, "You can't have a bike. Like, you're not gonna keep it here." And I remember on like weekends, I'd go over to my buddy's house and like sneak around back, because his mom was like kind of friends with mine. I'd like sneak around back and like push my bike out and like start it up and go ride it around and like put it away. And
it ran for $1,000.
It ran. Yeah, I was riding bike.
Incredible.
It was like crazy, dude. It was like king and queen. I have some pictures I'll show you, but it was king and queen, big ol' upsweep fishtails. And I remember I had a wide glide and stuff, and I rode over to my buddy's house, and Easy Rider, his mom's like, "Oh, that's so Easy Rider." And at the time, I didn't really know what I was even looking for. Like, I just saw like a hardtail. I had no idea how to take anything apart on it. I was just like, what do I do? Like, how do I make things look cool on this bike? And then I sold it because my mom found out, and she's like, either you sell that bike or you're getting kicked out. And I was like, dude, come on. So I had to sell it. But it definitely was like a little like flame in like the back of my head, and eventually, like, as time went on, it came back around, and I was able to buy another Evo. And we went to San Jose for this next bike, and it was an Evo swing arm, you know, sporty. So, and then that bike got hardtailed and all tricked out, and then I was like, okay, I want a shovel. I want to get something old.
Oh, okay. So this is the second bike you built then?
Yeah. So this is technically the second bike I've built. And then I'm coming up on the third with my grandpa's bike. So It's going to be sick, hopefully. But.
And what are, like, because you said you had to bend up the rod for the tranny, and do you have anything, like, what are your favorite parts on it?
My favorite part on the bike, Would probably be honestly the sissy bar, I would say. Even though it's not chromed yet, which I need to get that done. That'll probably be the finishing touch for this bike. But the sissy bar took a lot of love. Like, we went and bought the steel. It was raw square tube, square stock, 5/8. And I remember the guy there was like talking to us about, what are you gonna do with this? And I was like, we're making sissy bars out of it, me and a buddy. And he's like, dude, I'll twist it for you, cold twist it. I was like, no way. So he twisted it in his backyard, and I remember getting it like on a Saturday and going home, getting the torch out and just heating the middle and just bending over my knee just to get it started, just get a shape, like an outline, and I was like, oh dude, this is gonna be sick. And then it took a lot of work, like to cut the ends and like get it straight. Sissy bars are like the hardest thing to get your fender on there right.
Yeah.
And it's like, it has like slugs in there and stuff for you to bolt it, and it took a lot of work, and I really like the whole height of it and everything. So I think the sissy bar is my favorite part. And if it's chromed, once it gets chromed, I'm gonna be stoked.
Yeah, you did such a good job too with like the tire clearance. You're like right there. You definitely can tell that you were into the fitment on the Volkswagen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All that old car stuff, dude. Yeah. The fitment was everything on cars. So like definitely like on a fender to a sissy bar is like, or a fender to a tire on a bike is like.
It carries over a little bit.
Yeah. Because sometimes you see like the guys when they have like their tire like far back and they'll have like this gap, and then like it will be like tight up here, and it's just like, that doesn't look right. You know what I mean?
I don't have very good fitment on mine, but like since getting more into cars, I definitely feel like I notice that way more, and like I don't know, I have a different vision for like the next bike I build or whatever. I think the fitment will be like a lot more important.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so then you got the Super E on it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the tank is just like a throttle addiction, lowbrow. Or is there a cool story behind it?
Yeah, the tank is actually a cycle swap meet find.
Oh, okay.
Some dude had it. It was like blue, and I walked up and I'm like, dude, I was like, that's not like a Wassel tank. I was like, how much you want for that tank? And he's just like, $20. I'm like, dude, there you go. And I like bought the tank, and then I rocked it like that for a while, and then I started stripping it, and dude, it was like 5 layers of paint. And I was just like, oh my God.
Was there anything sick under there?
It was like orange and yellow, like every color that you probably would have ever painted your bike in the 70s. But so there was nothing really cool under it. And so yeah, I stripped it to bare metal and did a little body work and painted it white. And like when we were painting this thing, dude, it was like trash cans and like broomsticks and like in the grass. Like I watered the grass before we painted it.
Yeah.
So backyard, like I mean nothing is done in like a fancy shop or like a qualified shop. It's all in my backyard.
And where'd you get the front end?
So the front end isn't a Harley one. It's actually from it's the Throttle Addiction, I think, or TC Bros front end. Their Springer. I wish it was a Harley one, but they're just really expensive, and at the time I just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So it's like their replica or whatever. I think I want to go with more of a narrow front end though, like kind of like yours. I kind of like your setup. These ones are kind of bouncy, but overall I've done a couple wheelies on it and it has not snapped yet. So
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have? Because I know you're building your grandpa's bike right now. What's your vision for this? Are you gonna kind of leave it as is, or do you think you'll like play around with anything?
There's always like room for improvement. I feel like for like motorcycle stuff, just because everything's always fallen off of it.
Yeah. You don't have a headlight.
I don't have a headlight, taillight doesn't work.
Your air cleaner fell off today.
Air cleaner fell off. So like, I mean, Loctite maybe like was going to be the next step. Invest in some Loctite. But as far as this bike goes, it's probably going to stay pretty like true to this form. Just like maybe a front end upgrade and like maybe some new pipes. I really do like these pipes, but
yeah, I like the pipes as well. You don't really see. Like, you see the shotguns a lot, but you don't really see them with, like, the stock-style mufflers. Mm-hmm. So I think you did a really good job there.
Yeah. No, I thank you. Yeah, I think it's kind of quiet, so, like, you can really hear the engine. So I really hear those valves needing to be adjusted every other time I ride it. But other than that, I mean, it still sounds good, It's not
I
dead
always
quiet.
had really loud bikes, and then recently I put, like, a muffler on my panhead, and it's really quiet now, and it's like a whole different experience when you're riding it.
Right.
Like you can't. Yeah, it's just a trip because you hear your motor way more, and like it's just. I feel like no one can hear me when I ride, but I mean, generally people can only hear you once you're past them anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And then you've taken this on a couple trips. You said you rode it up to Big Sur, and then
But like as far as the bike goes on like long trips, like it's been to Carrizo Plains that I was telling you kind of about up the 166. It's been where's the last place it's been? Like it's been to Big Sur, obviously. A lot of Central Coast like riding. Probably more like up in the mountains kind of thing. So like Santa Barbara, and then take a back road like off the 154.
Yeah.
Go to White Rock, and a lot of hard rides like off of like dirt trails and stuff. Which surprisingly, like I'm astounded that it still has like held up like for a lot of the structure of the frame and everything. Because I mean, I MIG'd it. I didn't like TIG it or anything, and I did like the rosette welding and stuff where you like drill a hole and like fill it. But yeah, I'm surprised it's still kicking.
Yeah, well, it's got like the kind of performance-y, like you have the oil filter in the front right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Entirely, this bike is pretty much built from swap meet parts. Like honestly, like these parts we found at like an estate sale, like the exhaust. Like these came from an estate sale. Some dude like was pretty much like passing away, and his wife like sold all of his parts at like this frame shop.
No way.
Yeah, and like they were giving away like buckets of parts, dude, for like $200. And like we happened to score these pipes and like just like a tote like of one of the like they're like build a basket and we'll give you a price. And it was like everything's got to go. And it was like $200 a basket.
That's awesome.
So yeah, these pipes are really expensive, but I was able to find them at like a swap meet kind of thing, estate sale.
And then you have the Hawg Supply mid-peg mounts?
Yeah, actually when Cody first dropped those, I kind of was following like heavy because he started making like some similar items like this, and I was like, dude, I saw him like put those out. And that was another thing about the bike, like when I was making things, like to like put your foot compared to like a pan, but like I just would rock my foot on the case.
Yeah.
And Cody like gives such like makes parts for such good deals that I couldn't pass those up. I was like, dude, those are cheap. I was like, for sure. So like that was like probably one of the like his first run with those. I bought a set. I was like, send those to me like ASAP. I was trying to hit you up. I was like, I'll come over to the shop and I'll get them. Like, just hold them for me. He's like, dude, I'll send them to your house. Like, don't worry about it. I was so excited for him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so super good product from Cody right there. If you have a Shovelhead.
And who is a Poppy?
Oh yeah, that's actually a good story behind the whole bike too. So my girlfriend's grandpa passed away, and this was when the bike was still somewhat in like the building phase. Like I think I had the engine in it, and it was painted, and I was putting things together, and her grandpa passed away, and I never got to meet the guy, sadly, but I heard like such good things about him, and like most bikes have names, you know, like Big Christmas, you know, or whatever. And I remember we went to his house, and she's just like, you know, you guys can have like clothing or like whatever you want, like it's gonna go. So I was like, man, I was like, okay. I was like, I got like the shifters off his house, like the bathroom door is the shifter for the bike, like it's off from his house. And I remember there's just something like special about being there with her, and just like the whole like feeling of being in the house but not knowing somebody. Like it's kind of, you know, it's a home, you know, but you didn't know the guy that lived there. And so long story short, I just felt like it was like a really like click. I was like, oh, Poppy. I was like, that's what I'll name the bike. Like I put like his doorknob on there that he probably touched like who knows how many times. So it's like he's touching the bike. I was like, man, dude, you know what? And I just pressed it in one day. I just grabbed the dies and I just slammed it in, dude. Just Poppy, just right on the head. And I was just like, yeah, that's what the bike's name is. So yeah, this is Poppy. There's some other cool things, like the lucky numbers, like 56, like on the little top of that. But other than that, the bike did get a name from, I felt like a meaningful place. I hate when people just like, it's kind of like when you get like a tattoo, like a lot of times, like if I was to get a tattoo, I'd probably get something cool, but like this one actually had a meaning. So it was just kind of special that way. So
that's a nice thing. It adds like a nice layer to the bike.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
Yeah, it has like a surface to it, so you can like understand like it's not just a bike, you know. It's like has a little soul to it, you know.
Yeah. Have you noticed once you like got into this, it kind of becomes like all consuming.
Yeah,
you know?
it does.
Like, once you like build a bike and you start going to the swap meet, and then like it just that's kind of it. You know, it's like a rabbit hole that's endless.
Yeah, domino effect for sure. It's kind of like a bug, you know, like people are always like, oh, like you get bit by the bug to do like anything, art or like, you know, like fashion, you know, people kind of fall into a hole, you know, and that's kind of what it was for me for cars originally. And then the motorcycle thing, like I remember like just riding and like just being like out like on the road and like just like all the aspects, you know, it sounds funny, but like the wind in your hair and like, you know, the smells and just like you're one, you know, with like a bike and like the surroundings, you know, and you just escape. It's like an escape, you know. So I felt like that was what called me to the motorcycle stuff. And then from there, like a bug, you know, that you get bit by, it just goes like rapid.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, man.